jury duty, judge being a juror in his own case.
Never done it. Have you done it?
I've never become a judge, so I definitely haven't done it. Let's talk about the story, and then I want to talk about jury duty because I got some story. I don't have any stories, but I have thoughts on jury duty. So this was from the BBC, and when I saw this, I was like, surely this is American. This sounds like such an American story that a judge gets called for jury duty in his own case. Also because jury duty is way more often in the US because they have like jury trials for everything.
Yeah.
And corporate jury trials. Civil law jury trials.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're like a company and you do something wrong and someone sues you or you get sued or whatever, civil case, not a criminal case, you'll have a jury, which I always found real strange.
That's ridiculous.
It does
Surely
seem a little bit excessive.
An expert. Like I've always thought that. Like when you get a jury, they're not an expert on the case. So it basically is asking an opinion of people that don't know anything about what they're talking about. And like the world is too full of opinions. Like get an expert, tell him this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Easy.
Guilty.
And also juries go off on some crazy things where they're like, do you remember that Vioxx case? It was a drug that gave people strokes or something ages ago. I can't remember who it was by. But basically, I think it was Vioxx. And I remember because I had a Vioxx alarm clock. Because my dad is a doctor and, you get all these like free shit from drug companies. And I held onto this Vioxx alarm clock for so long because I found it, morbidly amusing that this drug that killed people. And then the drug company got sued. A woman's husband died. They sued the drug company and it was a jury case. They awarded $1 million in like, this is how much he would have made over the rest of his life. So we're making you whole. And then they awarded, it was like $150 million in plaintiff damages, which is where they give the damages to punish the company. Those go to the woman.
Wow.
And it's probably about a third goes to her lawyer.
I bet. Oh, geez,
oh yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you want to win that case.
I haven't read about that in 10 years, so the details are probably wrong, but it was something like that, and it was absurd. And I'm like, why is that going to her?
You go like, this is the one situation that I don't mind too much if my husband has died.
That's dark. I definitely wouldn't.
No, I'm joking. Of course I'm joking.
Good. Okay, so this judge, he gets called up for jury duty on his own case. And so he phones up the jury summoning board, which apparently is a thing. And he's like, sorry, he doesn't phone them up. He sends them a letter or whatever. And he says, I can't do this. And they're like, yeah, you can. That's not a good excuse. And I'm like, this is bureaucracy at its finest. Like, what did they expect him to do? And he's like, I am the judge on the case. I cannot be in the jury. It doesn't work like that. Is he going to just run from, like, the bench to the jury box, just back and forward? Like, what's going to...
Objection!
Yes. How exactly is that going to work? I just felt this was bureaucracy at its finest. He ends up phoning them up and being like, I'm a judge. This is my case.
Yeah, I rule this joint.
Apparently, judges can be called up for jury duty.
Well, I believe it, but in a different case, not their own case.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be in the...
As you say, that's madness that they're running between the jury and the podium and sort of... Like they rule that roost. Yeah. There needs to be someone at the top to order the jury. So
this was just in the news today, and I thought it was quite amusing. Or whenever it was. I don't know. It was really super recently.
Yeah, okay, April.
Okay, I don't know how I came across this then. I swear it was like on BBC News. Maybe it was sometimes you'll see like trending articles from the past or whatever on BBC.
Yeah,
I thought this was interesting, but what I really wanted to do is lead into a discussion about jury duty. Super interesting. I've never done it. You said you've never done it.
Never done it.
Ever known anyone who's done it? Your parents have done it? Family? Apparently there's a 1 in 3 chance of being called up in your lifetime. And I'm like, that seems insanely high because I can only think of one friend of mine whose dad had to do it and then ended up getting out of it.
I do know people that have had to do it, but I think it was abroad and I think it's in a place where everyone has to do jury duty.
Where?
I can't think where it is. Is it Australia? I want to say it's probably Australia because Australia are really kind of big on things like this. Like you have to vote. Otherwise, you get a fine.
Oh, yeah. I've met Australian people here, and they have to go to the embassy when they have an election to vote. Otherwise, they get like a fine or something.
$200 fine or something. And it's mad, like, which is actually great. I have to be honest. It really is good in terms of... Like,
maybe.
I'd be terrible. I vote far less than I should. However...
Oh, I voted once in my life.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Shouldn't admit that, should I?
No, you should not admit
I run a channel about politics. I voted once.
You overview the politics. That's,
I don't want to be like one of these people, but it's like, I don't really... this election coming up.
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbyn, Boris Johnson, Labour, Conservative. I don't like any of these guys.
It's not a great mix.
No one else is going to make a difference.
I always think this
so
in
what's the
politics.
point?
How do we end up with always the worst two possible candidates?
It's pretty bad.
It's
not always been the case.
Well, like you think about going back to like the Trump election, everything like that.
Yeah.
It was, Trump, Hillary Clinton,
Both pretty bad.
both pretty bad. There could have been 100 people that would have been better than they would. Although
Michael Bloomberg is considering a run for president in 2020.
Ooh, so it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I heard. No,
Is he?
yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Michael Bloomberg's my political hero. He's an absolute legend. He's been on both sides of the fence, super centrist, business focused. He's also worth like 30 billion. So, you know, his net worth something like 37 times that of Trump's. And I'm like, that's
really?
cool.
Yeah. There you go. Well done, Mr. Bloomberg.
Yeah, and he's just legit. And he's, you know, he was mayor of New York, so he's got political experience. Everyone loves him. He's great. Anyway,
So-
back to jury duty.
Yeah. Have you done jury duty? You haven't. No.
No, but I looked into it. Oh, this was later on, but as we're talking about politics now, no, I'm going to save it for later because it's so good. If you get called up for jury duty, I was thinking, okay, what if I get called for jury duty? One, I live abroad, so I'm not really sure, like, how would they get my address? Like, how would they? Surely there'd just be a letter that goes to, you know, wherever I was last.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Like your last formal abode.
Yeah,
But-
but then do they get in touch with like the electoral people or the tax people or who?
Well,
Or passport office?
Well, you know, this is our fun little fact of being English: is we have no proof that we exist. Like, there's
Well, that's true.
You've probably
There's
come
no
across-
ID cards.
exactly no ID cards.
Americans
no,
don't have ID cards, do they?
I don't think so.
But everyone else in Europe has ID cards.
Everyone has ID cards, and everyone has a permanent address, and we don't have a permanent address in the UK. Like,
It's so funny. I have bank accounts here, and before I became a permanent resident here and had like a permanent address,
yeah,
they were like, "Where's your permanent address?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? I live here." And they're like, "Yeah, but that's not your permanent address. It's not in your ID." And I'm like, "Well, I don't have an ID." And they're like, "Okay, we need a permanent address." And I'm like, "So I just gave my parents' address in the UK." It's like, let's see.
That's
And they're like,
exactly what I
"Yeah,
did."
that'll work," because it was on my British driver's license, which I don't even have anymore.
I'm exactly the same. Like, because everyone here, they're like, "Oh, you must have." I mean, I just got married, and that was a real problem for paperwork because I could not prove my permanent address. And I was going, like, I called everywhere. I called the banks, I called the embassy, I called everyone. And they were like, "No, we don't have this in the UK. Like, there is no such thing
as a permanent address.
A permanent residence." So, yeah, there we just, how do we get on to the permanent residence tangent?
Do you have your green book yet? Your
Yeah, I'm temporary. From March, I should become permanent.
There you go. Then you'll get your permanent address and you can swap everything out.
Exactly.
Okay, so I was thinking, like, what if I get called up for jury duty? It's unlikely. I have no idea how it would happen. Actually, I do because I know what happens because I looked it up. So, jury duty, guess how much it pays you? Don't look at the screen. Have you looked at it?
I'm going to say, £64 per day.
Oh my God, you got it exactly on.
Bang on the money. Yeah?
It is £64 a day. We have the notes open in front of us. I was hoping Sam hadn't read ahead, but he has. £64 a day. So I was thinking about this, and I'm like, that would be pretty, you know, I'd definitely make more than £64 a day.
Yeah,
so I was like,
skipping a day.
Right, and this sounds pretty bad. So I was like looking at the ways to get out of jury duty, and what happens if you just, you know, don't show up. You get fined £1,000 if you don't reply to your jury duty notice, and you get fined £1,000 if you don't show up.
Wow.
And I'm like,
do I
jury
make 2,000 a
duty,
day?
well, it's not per day. It's just for not replying. And I'm like, jury duty can last, they say it takes about 10 days on average and 2 weeks total, £64 a day. I'll pay the fine. But I'm not sure if that just means, and I looked for this everywhere. I looked to like lawyers' websites and everything. No one just seems to be okay with being like, yeah, I'll just pay the £1,000
I'll pay the money.
and then just like move on with my life. If anyone who is listening to this is a lawyer and can work this out, what happens if you don't pay, if you just pay the fine? You're like, yeah, okay, I'll pay the fine. What happens next? They send you another fine?
The whole of society crumbles. They just go, like, they wouldn't know what to do. They go, no, you've got to come and do your jury. No, I'll pay the fine.
Yeah, because surely there are plenty of people, because you work out the maths on that. Okay, so you're going to get £64 a day, and you're going to get that's your opportunity. Your opportunity cost is your normal wage minus £64 a day, and then minus £1,000 if you skip. And it's like, it works out. You don't have to be making a ton of money for that to make economic sense. If you're talking 10 days work,
Yeah.
2 weeks work,
Yeah.
that's and that would cost you $1,000 plus 640, say, for the offset on the wages. So 1,640. That's only $3,000 a month. So if you're making more than £36,000 a year plus tax, let's say that if your salary is over £50,000 a year, or you're making more than that from your business, kind of makes sense just to pay the fine on jury duty if it's a one-off fine, right?
Yeah. Okay. And is it a one-off fine? It's a one-off fine.
I don't know. That's what I don't know. And I looked into it,
right. So-
and I want to know if anyone is a lawyer, this sort of lawyer in the UK, or can find out. I'd just love to know. I'm sure it'll be like, surely, now I think about it, and you think about it through, because everyone will just do this. If if you just wanted to continue work, you'd be like, sure, I'll just pay.
But I do think like a £2,000 payout that's a significant payout for any family that has kids.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, okay, but there's always a 10% or a 1% of the population who will be in, and everyone's equally likely to get called up for jury duty, who's going to be like, no, I'll just pay. I'd pay.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Screw it. I'm not going. I'll pay the fine.
I suppose it depends how much you
I
love
want to go to work and I don't want to sit on a jury.
Well, there you go. I suppose it depends how much you love your job, because like I would find that quite interesting.
I would have found it more interesting when I was just employed in a job that I didn't care as much about.
Yeah.
And also when I made less money than £64 a day. Isn't that minimum wage?
Because you see, I've always seen myself as a sort of a detective that never quite got into becoming a detective. So I think I would find that quite exciting.
Don't think I've sat in court because I went to law school. It's boring.
Yeah.
And I went to interesting court.
Did you have to wear a wig?
Dude, no, I was in law school. I just sat in the observer's box.
Oh,
you don't even have to wear a suit.
You weren't a barrister.
No. No, far away from being a barrister. Okay, so then I looked at other ways to get out of jury duty. If you've been in prison in the last 10 years, you're exempt. And I'm like,
wow.
It's pretty good. So what if I get really drunk one night and like swear at a policeman? If I spend like that night in lockup, that's not prison.
No, that's arrested.
But that would be great. All I have to do is get arrested, and I don't care if I've been arrested. I'm self-employed.
You don't need to be employed.
The last time I filled out one of those forms where it was like the criminal record check, it's like, have you been a criminal? Now it's like, I don't care. If I had to do jury duty or spend one night in jail.
Can't go to America, can't go to New Zealand.
With a criminal record?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
Unless you're rich. In which case you can go anywhere.
How? You can pay?
Yeah, you can pay to get anywhere. Let's be honest. If you've got enough money and you flash the cash, then they're going to let you in, aren't they?
So definitely be a white-collar criminal like Bernie Madoff.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's 10 years in prison. This is the gem.
Okay.
And this is why you can get called for jury duty in the UK and I cannot.
You just told me you voted.
What? Yeah, once, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I was a student.
Just signed up.
I'm no longer on an electoral register.
I've just signed up now for the general elections.
Right.
I've officially become a voter now.
And I bet because you're abroad, you're not going to get the jury duty letter to come back to the UK and be on a jury.
Hope so. Yeah.
But you have like a remote vote, or do you have to do it by post like a normal
I'm
person?
voting by proxy.
Okay.
So I'm putting the faith in someone else to go and cross the right box.
I'm betting the system is developed enough that you won't get called for jury duty here in Prague.
I'd really hope so.
So if you're just not on an electoral register, which I'm no longer on an electoral register, you can't get called. So that's fine. Just don't vote, and you don't have to do jury duty.
I'd like to know if there's something in place. Like, you used to be able to get out of World War II if you broke an ankle.
If you're having an operation, if you're doing some other stuff like that, or if you can't miss work for some important thing, you can delay it. But if you get summoned again,
break a finger.
You can delay it. Sometimes it can be cancelled. But if you get a second summons, like to be jury again, no excuses.
You're an unlucky bugger.
Well, that would suck. It'd be like, oh yeah, I had my tonsils cut out. And the next one, it's like, yeah, well, you're getting your left lung cut out because of cancer. It's like, well, too bad.
Too bad.
You already skipped one because of an operation. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I feel I tried digging into this a lot and finding out, especially the £1,000 thing. That super interested me. But I couldn't find out any details. If anyone knows, let us know in the comments. That's jury duty. My excuse for jury duty was the dude who was a juror on his own case, which was excellent.